There's a certain type of patient I see in therapy again and again, the kind that defaults to self-blame in almost any and every situation. They can be the victim, the wrongdoer, or maybe they just made an honest-to-God mistake. But their automatic position is often the same, drowning in guilt, shame, and overthinking. No sign or chance of self-forgiveness. Sound familiar? But what if I told you that self-blame isn't actually about guilt or even about the thing that you did wrong? What if it's really about control? When we replay mistakes over and over, what we're doing isn't just punishing ourselves. We're trying to rewrite the past, convince ourselves we could have done better, that we should have known, or that we should have prevented it. Our brains mistake rumination for mastery. But here's the kicker. It doesn't work. The more we try to fix the past in our minds, the more we get stuck in it. I'm jourdantravers, a licensed psychotherapist, and today I'll share with you one of the most interesting studies to have come out this year. We'll break it down together and understand how people find their way back to self-forgiveness. This study was led by Dr. Woodyatt, a faculty member at Flinders University, who dove into real people's stories, people who could forgive themselves and people who couldn't. Here's what happened. The researchers recruited 80 adults from across the U.S., people of all ages, backgrounds, and experiences. Participants ranged in age from 21 to 79 years old and were asked to recall a time they were able to forgive themselves or a time that they couldn't. These weren't just small mistakes. We're talking betrayal, letting loved ones down, personal failures, harm to others, accidents, even neglecting pets. Some had trouble forgiving themselves for the things that they did. And others, well, they were able to. Then they were guided through open-ended questions. Questions like, what happened? Why did you feel you needed to forgive yourself? What strategies did you try? What barriers got in your way? How do you feel about it now? And here's a fascinating detail. The people who couldn't forgive themselves spent much longer on their stories. They were reliving every detail, every pang of guilt. The ones who could forgive themselves were more concise, but their reflections were sharp, deliberate. To analyze the stories, the researchers read and reread every response, moving from surface-level description to deeper meaning. 4 powerful themes emerged that map the messy emotional landscape of self-forgiveness. Let's go through them and see which ones show up in your self-blame cycle. And if this video resonated with you so far, well, you know the drill. Hit that like button and subscribe. All right, let's start with theme 1. Your past is still a presence. This is a big one for those who can't forgive themselves. The past never stays in the past. Memories, emotions, consequences, it all felt immediate, as if it were happening right now. One woman wrote about her daughter being bullied years ago. It's a raw feeling, just like it happened yesterday. They constantly relived the pain, guilt, and regret, and it was exhausting. People who could forgive themselves didn't ignore the past, but they looked forward. They still felt pain, but it didn't dominate their present. I had to let it go to move on with my life, one woman said. Another added, I needed to forgive myself so I could stop blaming myself and stop looking toward the past when I needed to be looking toward the future. It's as simple and as difficult as that. Self-forgiveness isn't about erasing guilt. It's about holding both pain and possibility at the same time. Here's the second theme. You lose your sense of agency. Many of us vacillate between taking responsibility and deflecting blame. The study found that those struggling with self-forgiveness often swung between it's my fault and it's not my fault, back and forth, caught in psychological tension. Those who could forgive themselves found a way to accept responsibility without being crushed by it. They recognized what they could control and what they couldn't. Some felt heightened responsibility because they were caregivers, parents, partners, even pet owners. One man described a friend driving drunk after a party. If I was just a little more persistent, he wouldn't have gotten in that accident. Others carried guilt even when they were victims of abuse or trauma, showing just how fragile our sense of agency can be. And the ones who forgave themselves, they accepted responsibility and their limitations. The only real barrier to forgiving was realizing that things don't always work out the way you want them to. one participant reflected. And this leads us to the third theme. You struggle to see yourself as a decent person. We all want to see ourselves as good people. Mistakes threaten that identity. Those stuck in self-blame felt disconnected from their ideal selves. One woman described cheating while engaged. I never thought I was the kind of person who would cheat. Another admitted to a habit they couldn't break. It's demoralizing, frustrating, and has ruined my self-esteem. By contrast, participants who forgave themselves reconciled past mistakes with current values. One parent wrote, "In order to be the best parent I could be, I had to forgive myself and focus on my daughter." That reaffirmed their values while accepting their imperfections, just messy humans doing the best they could. And now for the final and most subtle theme of the four. You cope for the wrong reasons. Everyone tried to cope. Therapy, talking to friends, hobbies. But the why behind coping made all the difference. Those stuck in self-blame focused on reducing discomfort. I tried working more hours, playing more video games. None were really successful except for prolonging the inevitable, admitted one participant. Some even punished themselves to cope. Meanwhile, those who forgave themselves engaged with the pain. They sat with it, reflected, talked it through with others, wrestled with their responsibility, and slowly worked toward acceptance. One woman said it felt like climbing a mountain. I pretty much sat and thought about it all day long. It was awfully hard, and now I'm more relieved and I can move forward. Here's the real insight. Self-forgiveness isn't a flip that you switch. It's not about magically letting go or pretending to be kind to yourself. It's about seeing the truth of your limits and noticing where self-blame has been trying to protect you, even when it's failing. Self-blame often masquerades as safety, but what it really does is keep you stuck. Forgiveness, when it actually works, is radical. It's saying, I did what I could with what I had, and now I can use what I know to shape what comes next. And if this resonates, I've linked a free mistake rumination test in the description below. You can take it right now to see where self-blame may be holding you hostage. I'm jourdantravers. I'm the clinical director of Awake Therapy, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.